Welcome to another episode of Nonstop Nick Hill. I don't know why there are ants on my camera. Hello everyone, I'm going to start that again. Welcome to another episode of Nonstop Nick Hill. I don't know what, I was trying to start this video a couple of times just walking down the street. There were just ants coming out from all over my camera for some reason. I don't know how that happened, but hopefully that's taken care of. I don't need a camera that's completely, that needs an exterminator. But right now, I mean, it's really, really hot here. We're right by the ocean. I'm here in Grand-Bassam. This is a city that's just maybe an hour and a half outside of Abidjan. I took a Yango driver here for about 10,000, 11,000 francs. And I haven't had my coffee yet. I haven't had any breakfast, so I'm just having an espresso, get some caffeine in me before we can spend the day here on this beach town. It is so incredibly sunny and humid here. I'm glad I went for the short and flip-flops look for the beach, but also just for the town. Now, the claim to fame for Grand-Bassam is not just that it's a beachside resort so close to Abidjan for a nice weekend trip, but it was also a capital of the French colony of Côte d'Ivoire during the late 1890s. However, after serving as the capital for a couple of years, Grand-Bassam was eventually turned into a ghost town when nearly 3/4 of the population was killed due to a yellow fever outbreak, forcing the capital to be moved to another city. Ironically, it's these decrepit French colonial era buildings from the 19th century, which then sparked the rise in tourism in the 20th, 21st centuries here in Grand-Bassam, and made it a center not only for beach lovers, but also for artisans and those interested in graffiti, street art, and just exploring these buildings that are about to collapse. It's also therefore been preserved as part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site program due to its juxtaposition of these antique French colonial buildings alongside traditional indigenous Nzema village life. I'm in front of one of such magnificent but decrepit buildings here in Grand-Bassam. This is what's known as the Ghana. Non, je veux rien. Non. Non, je veux rien. Non, non, je veux rien. Merci. Je veux rien acheter, je veux rien. And behind me is one of those colonial era buildings which are now lying in ruin, but you can definitely tell the sort of prominence or status they must have had back in the 19th century. No, there really isn't much of a detail or explanation as to what this building really was. I think for that you'll have to go to a local guide, but it's sort of been used as a free-for-all space for modern artists engaging in their street art, their graffiti, using the space as their own, and I don't think really anyone is stopping them right now. With such prominent buildings lying in such ruin, you can tell why Grand-Bassam was referred to as a ghost town for the longest time before tourists set in to roam these buildings. Modern day Grand-Bassam actually consists of two parts. We're currently in Ancien Bassam or Old Bassam, and this was where you find all the French colonial era structures, and this was a part of the city primarily settled by the French. You also have a Nouveau Bassam or a New Bassam, and that was historically the part of the rest of the city. That was the rest of the city that was inhabited and settled by the native people, the native Africans. And so those two populations would be divided, segregated to different parts of the city. And that's why you still have the modern city there in New Bassam, and the Old Bassam here is primarily the dilapidated structures from European settlement. If you're watching this video and you proceed to Google Grand-Bassam to find out some more information, there's going to be one phrase you're going to find pretty commonly occurring in your searches, and that's going to be a colonial charm. And it's not just here in Grand-Bassam that you find that phrase colonial charm. You find it anytime there are colonial structures or colonial settlement anywhere. And it makes me wonder, who was colonialism really charming for? and who is writing these articles and these websites where they would actually describe colonialism as charming. I'm pretty sure the vast majority of people who lived under colonialism and who are suffering its consequences today, it's not charming. That's going to be the default word that comes into their mind when they think of colonialism or that era of time. Essentially, it becomes a linguistic exercise to decouple words which tend to appear next to one another, such as colonial and charm. We really need to think through that and be intentional and think about those two words. What does colonial mean? What does charm mean? And how do those two words actually work together? And they don't. Everywhere you walk around these streets, there are different vendors selling alcoholic beverages, beer, small bottles of liquor. You can definitely tell it's where people go to stock up before they head to the beach, which is only about a block or two away. So I guess that's going to be our plan today as well. For now, just talking a little bit more about the history of Grand-Bassam. Grand-Bassam actually precedes Abidjan as being the most important French port settlement in Ivory Coast. It was from here where the French would use their port to then move inland and extract natural resources from the area and then bring it back to Grand-Bassam, from where the resources would then be transported to Europe and other colonies. I really have no idea how there's no one else around me who's sweating buckets like I am right now. My arms are completely soaked, and so is every other part of me. It's insane. Just gonna have to find somewhere to eat and then maybe head to the beach to catch some of the breeze there. There's also a museum or two of interest. I'm sure it should have air conditioning, so I might do that in the afternoon as well. But we'll see. I think I'm just hungry right now. Just walking around and coming across this, what would have probably been like a town square during the peak of this city. You can see there's almost like a bank building on one side, this really prominent building on another. In this building, you can see how it's completely been repurposed by artists, as well as probably some other small businesses that are running inside. It was believed that before tourism came here to Grand-Bassam, it was just believed to be a city of squatters. After the capital had to be moved, after the yellow fever outbreak, after just complete divestment from this town. To find somewhere to eat, I'm just sort of peeking my head into random doors. Seems like almost every little spot is an eatery hiding away behind the doors here. Just peeking in and seeing if anywhere has a good crowd of local people. Probably somewhere I can trust to go eat. So I found a spot to eat in what is known as a maquis. A maquis, you see the name everywhere if you Google places to eat in Ivory Coast, in Abidjan. And a maquis is just basically an informal roadside eatery. It can take many forms, from just being very, very simple to being something a little more complex like this, catering a little bit maybe more to tourists or people from Abidjan visiting Grand-Bassam. So I just ordered a gravy with the beef and eggplant, and then also my usual Ivory beer. And so yeah, just taking a break from the sun and trying to conserve some of my liquids that I've just been sweating out since getting here this morning. I just received my food, some beef soup with rice, and I'm gonna say it's actually pretty spicy. The Ivorian dishes will actually sneak up on you in terms of spice. I was about to ask for some hot sauce or something before even trying it, like I would in Senegal, but here it's actually pretty spicy. I just left the restaurant and I'm approaching the beach here. As you can see behind me, we have the hotel resort L'Étoile du Sud. That was where a couple of years ago, I believe in 2015 or 2016, there was an AQIM claimed attack here, which resulted in more than a dozen casualties. And you can see it's like right here on the main entrance to the beach right behind me. So I just entered the beach. This is a public beach here, but you're gonna find people at every point trying to talk to you or get any amount of money they can from you. I had literally a 5 to 10 minute conversation with a guy at the entrance to the beach telling me that I have to pay 500 francs to enter this beach. I mean, it's a public beach. There's absolutely no reason why you'd have to pay anyone even a single franc to enter this area. So I told him, I'm like, sure, if you have an ID card that you're from the municipal government, or if you can point me to an office where I can pay and get a receipt, sure. I have no problem paying the 500 francs to enter the beach. But there's absolutely no reason to. It's like people just automatically think that you're stupid and you have some crazy desire to just hand out your money to people, and that you'll stupidly do so. So don't fall for things like that. If you can't get a receipt for it, there's absolutely no reason why you should be handing out even a single franc to anyone. The length of this beach, you find people probably from Abidjan or from nearby enjoying the water. I mean, I am very jealous. I'm probably going to also try to get into the water in a little bit once I find a nice spot too, because it is hot and humid. And along the length of the beach, there's little eateries with music and food and drink. And I'm just walking down the length of the beach, trying to find somewhere that's a little more active, where I see a lot more people. Maybe I'll park myself there, see if I can leave my stuff there and get into the water. So I found a place along the beach to grab another drink and something to eat. I had some fish fritters this time with 2 really, really spicy sauces, which I'm really happy to have enjoyed. And non, je ne veux pas. Je veux pas. Je veux pas. Pourquoi? Pourquoi je vais l'acheter? Non. J'en ai un. Non, non, j'ai pas besoin de quelque chose. Non, pourquoi? Pourquoi? C'est pas cher. Non, je ne veux pas. Si je veux, je vais acheter. Si je vais pas, je veux pas acheter. Merci. As I said, there's always people trying to ask you if you want to buy something, and I'm telling them if I wanted something, I would go buy it. Like, I don't need to buy it right now. And right now, I think since I took the Yango here and paid almost 11,000 francs to make the trip from Abidjan to Grand-Bassam, I think I'm going to try to walk back into the new city, cross the Victory Bridge back into what's known as Grand-Bassam, and then from there, I think there are public transportation methods. There should be buses that I can take from Grand-Bassam to Trècheville, where we visited yesterday. And in the end, it's going to be a lot cheaper than taking a taxi directly from here right into the city. So let's see how that goes. Right now, we've left the beach, and we've also left Ancien Bassam, or Old Bassam, which was traditionally the European settlement. And we're walking across what's known as the Victory Bridge and arriving at Nouveau Bassam, or the traditionally African indigenous settlement. So the lagoon behind me as you walk past this bridge. And it would have been this bridge which separated the colonial administrators, their affairs, their buildings, their way of life from the indigenous village life here on the coast of West Africa. Even today, it's Ancien Bassam behind me, which is home to all the tourist attractions, the UNESCO World Heritage Site, the beach, the bars and restaurants which cater to tourists, and where we're heading now, Nouveau Bassam, the traditional African settlement, is pretty much where people just pass through on their way from Abidjan to head to the beach. Every red sedan that you see on the roads is a taxi here, so if you're planning on visiting from Abidjan, come to Bassam, you should have no problem getting around while you're here. These taxis should be happy to take you, especially if you don't know what the actual price is. And that also means that you don't necessarily have to book a taxi from the day as a day trip. If you're planning on having someone bring you here, stay with you while you're here, and then also leave with you, that definitely will not be necessary. There are enough vehicles that travel to Abidjan as part of just the metropolitan Abidjan area between here and Grand-Bassam. Also, the city itself is so condensed that you could walk or find one of these taxis to take you around. There's really nothing that you would need to have your own vehicle for at your own beck and call to get around this area. About 5 minutes later, we're approaching the hustle and bustle of the main traffic circle here. Also, location of the main market, it seems. Place de la Paix, Peace Square. And just off one of these streets should be the Gare Routière. Again, the road station where we can get transportation to pretty much anywhere in this area. I'm sure should be easy to find something to take us back to Abidjan. So if you just head to the main traffic circle right after you exit the beach, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you're here. It's the one crowded area of the new city. If you just ask for the Gare Routière, the road station, you'll find minibuses heading to Abidjan, probably one after another pretty immediately. And they're going to fill up pretty quick, so you don't have to worry about anything. I got a seat in one for 500 francs, so that's just about $1. Just showing how you can pretty much do everything across all budgets. Here in the Côte d'Ivoire, this morning we spent about 11,500 francs to get here in a private car, fully air-conditioned pickup from the Airbnb and all. And now we can do it also for 500 francs, but we'll probably have to get down wherever the station is, I think probably in Treichville, and from there we'll get a Yango for maybe 1,000 francs. So altogether, probably like 1,500 to 2,000 francs to get back to Abidjan. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Abidjan. I am back in my Airbnb. All it took was just the 500 CFA for the minibus, and then I paid an extra 2,000 CFA for my Yango from Treichville, where the bus stop is, to Bassam, back to Cocody. It's about 8 p.m. I'm going to call it quits for tonight. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at Grand-Bassam and finding out exactly how you can do it as a day trip from Abidjan. Both if you're looking for comfort, you can use Yango. If you're willing to go off on a budget, you can use the public transport system. Both great options, they both work. I did them both today. So with that, I'm gonna end the vlog for today. I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.